Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome to your English lesson. And again, I'm so excited because it's poetry, so that's always super fun for us. It's the 27th of January 2021, and today our starter, we're going to be learning how to use punctuation, and let's get started. So you've seen challenges like this before many times. So you have to add the missing full stops, question marks, and exclamation mark actually to the sentences as they need it. So I'll read the sentences to you, and then you can see on the right that we've got our lovely little red, our question mark, our exclamation mark, and our full stop in the red. And then after I read them, you can pause the video, have a go at reading them yourself, and then you're going to choose where they belong. So the owl and the pussycat went to sea. Would you sell your ring for a shilling? Would you? How sweetly you sing. So I've given you some clues with the way that I've read them. So you can pause the video, have a go, see if you can have a go at writing it down, or you can just say where they would belong. If you're working with a partner. If you're not working with a partner, an adult at home, just write them down and you can put the different punctuation in. So welcome back. We're going to take it up together. So the owl and the pussycat went to sea is a telling sentence. So it's a statement. So we're going to use a full stop at the end. Would you sell your ring for a shilling? Now we know would is a question starter. Would, like what, who, when. And it's asking us if they would sell their ring for a shilling. So it's a question mark. And finally, how sweetly you sing is an exclamation. If a sentence begins with how and then describes, it's usually an exclamation. It's usually sharing something with us in a big way. So we're going to use an exclamation mark. So have a go, or you had a go. Let me know how you did, and we'll keep practicing it. We practice it every week. You're getting really good at it. I can tell that a lot of you are getting better when you send me the picture of your work. I can tell that you're getting a lot better at using those punctuations. So today, this can be really fun, and your teacher's going to look really silly, but that's okay. It's kind of fun for you guys. We're going to learn how to practice performing a poem in different ways. So performing a poem is one of the best parts of reading poetry. Poetry is definitely meant to be performed. And as we talked about yesterday, you can use your voice to say different lines from the poem in a different way. So today we're going to have a go at listening to the poem. We're going to answer a few questions about it, and we're going to repeat a verse from the poem. But the main learning we're going to be doing today is using our voice to show different moods. So we're going to learn how to use our voice and practice how to use our voice to show different moods. And then we're going to start to discuss what would make a good poetry performance, because by the end of this unit, you're going to be able to tell me and each other what some things you can do to have a great poetry performance are. So let's keep going. So a new word we need to know today is the word mood. Sometimes we hear the word mood. Usually I used to hear the word a lot when an adult would say, "Why are you in a mood?" And I always thought that just meant, "Why are you so grumpy?" But mood actually means something a little bit different. So the mood of the poem is how the reader or the characters feel at the different times throughout it. So how many different feelings can you name? So pause the screen and I want you just to list on your fingers how many different types of feelings. We talk about feelings in PSHE and in class. What are they? Name me some feelings. So pause the video, have a little go, and welcome back. Now we're going to talk about some feelings that I've come up with. So to name just a few. So happy, sad, serious, excited, silly, joyful, upset, frightened, worried. And those are just a few examples of feelings. There's so many more, but we can tell that if someone is being happy, they're probably going to be talking and acting quite differently than if they were frightened or upset or scared. So yeah, this is where your teacher gets a little bit silly on the webcam. But that's what we need today, because we need to use our voices and our actions to show these different feelings. And that's what's going to make our lesson really fun. So mood, when we talk about mood tomorrow, I want you to be able to tell me that the mood of the poem is the feelings in the poem. So we're going to have a go at reading through The Owl and the Pussycat again. And then we're going to have a little bit of practice with saying some of the lines and practicing how we could say those lines. So this week is a really nice week of lots of acting and lots of performing, but we're not doing as much actual writing. So I'll give you a little bonus writing task at the end of it. But let's start with The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, you elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be merry, too long have we tarried, but what shall we do for a ring? They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows. And there in a wood a piggy-wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring? Said the piggy, I will. So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon. And hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. So we've had a little listen. We can hear how poetry sounds. We can hear the pace of it. Now I have 2 questions that I want you to have a think about. And I want you to pause the screen after each one and share your answer. You can write it down or you can just share it with the screen. So response question 1. Are the characters happy in the story? So do you think they're feeling happy? And if so, why do you think they're happy? Or how can we tell that they're happy? So pause the screen, have a little think about what happens in the poem. And do we think that they're happy? And welcome back. So we have The Owl and the Pussycat, and I think we could say that it's really quite a joyful poem because we know that they're on their boat and the owl is singing to the pussycat and he's telling her how much he loves her. And she's saying, oh, you're so charming. Let's go get married. And then they go on this big adventure to a new place where they get the pig to give them their ring. And they have this wonderful wedding and celebration and they eat lots of good food and they're dancing. So we know it's not a sad poem. It's not a scary poem. There isn't like a big storm or anything terrible happening. They're celebrating. So we know that it's going to be quite joyful, quite happy. And that brings me to question number 2, which is what is the mood of the poem? So we know the mood is like the feeling of the poem. So pause the screen, have a little think about what I just said and described and say, how do you think the mood is going to be then? Is it going to be a happy, joyful mood, or is it going to be quite a serious mood? Or how do you think the poem should be performed? And that's right. I'm sure lots of you said that it's going to be a really joyful poem and that we want to have lots of energy and really be celebrating in it. So the mood is quite joyful. Okay, time to perform. This is the fun bit. So how do you think the poem should be read? Do you think we should read it in an upbeat way, in a sad way, or an angry way? What do you think? That's right. We just talked about how it's a joyful poem. So we're going to want to make sure that we're conveying that it's a very happy poem when we perform it. But let's practice, just for a bit of practice, saying these lines in different ways to show different moods. So the lines I'm going to get you to say are they dance by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They dance by the light of the moon. So I want you to have a little practice of it. So we'll do a copycat. You don't need to pause the video. They dance by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They dance by the light of the moon. Your turn. They dance by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They dance by the light of the moon. Fantastic. See, you're practically experts already. And if you need a bit of practice or you couldn't quite get that, just rewind the video a bit and practice it a few times until you have the lines. Okay, now we're going to practice saying them in some different voices. So have a look at the picture on the screen. We see a girl and she's quite happy. So let's practice saying that line, but in a really happy voice. So my turn and then your turn. They dance by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They dance by the light of the moon. Maybe with a big smile, lots of energy. Your turn. Amazing. I could feel your joy from the screen. It was so good. Now let's try it a different way. Ooh, have a look at this girl. She looks quite angry. She's angry now. So we're going to say that line in an angry way. So what might my face be like? What might my body be doing? What sound might my voice be making when I'm mad? They dance by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They dance by the light of the moon. Your turn. I want it to sound angry. Have a go. Oh, furious. I felt like you were furious. That was so good. So talented. All right, now this is the one. This is the one where I'm glad you're at home and we're not in the classroom, because this is where it gets out of hand. Now I want you to say it really silly, in your silliest voice, making your silliest face. And you're going to be much sillier than I am because I'm not very good at this one. They dance by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. You make your voice sound funny. They dance by the light of the moon. You can be as silly as you want, as crazy as you want. Have a go. That was good. Some of you, I know exactly how silly you've got. So mums and dads, I'm very sorry about that. Now we better take a couple breaths to calm ourselves back down so we can do the next one. Very good though. You're very good at being silly. Oh, now this one, we're going to have to bring our energy very low because this little boy in the picture is quite sad. So they dance by the light of the moon, the moon, the moon. They dance by the light of the moon. Your turn. Very good. Well, we don't want the poem read like that, but very good at pretending to be sad. Right. Now we're going to have a little go at putting all that together, but we know that this poem is a joyful poem, so we want to read it in a joyful voice. So I'm going to read The Owl and the Pussycat, and you can stop this video and rewind it as many times as you want so you get a bit of practice in. And if you can do it at home with a partner and videotape it, I love when you send your videos in. You're doing such a good job at home with your performances, and you make my day when I get to see them. So I'm going to read the long bits, and I want you to read the dance by the light of the moon bit that we practiced. And if you start to recognize any of the other lines and you want to join in, please join in with me. But I want you to say it in your joyful, happy voice, because that's how we want this poem read. So The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a 5-pound note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar, "Oh, lovely pussy, oh pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are." Pussy said to the owl, "You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long have we tarried, but what shall we do for a ring?" They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows, and there in a wood a piggy-wig stood with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring?" said the piggy. "I will." So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. They dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand, they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, the moon. They danced by the light of the moon. Amazing. I could hear all of us joining in on that together. That sounded really, really good. Right, so have a little go at practicing that. Maybe you can practice it a bit more. Rewind the video so you know a few more of the lines. See if you can teach yourself a whole part of it. But great performing today. And now let's have a little think at our last question, which we said is we're going to talk about what makes a good poetry performance. So when we were performing, we had to learn the lines of the poem. So we had to know what we were going to say. If we didn't know the lines of the poem, then we wouldn't be able to do a very good job of it. So we had to learn the lines that we were going to say. And with some of the poem, it was quite tricky. So do you remember what I did? But what did we do? Did you read the whole poem or did we split it up? What did we do to make it a bit easier, a bit clearer? That's right, we split it up. So you can assign parts to different performers. So we don't all have to read the same thing. We can assign parts to different performers. What else did we do? Oh, we used expression when we read. We used expression in our voices, didn't we? So we weren't just reading it like this, really dull and boring. We made sure that we were using expression and keeping it quite interesting because we know people are going to listen to it. And finally, the last bit that I would add today we'll add more to it as the unit goes on, is what was that word we talked about that we were exploring today? So you used your voice to do all kinds of different feelings. And what's that word for a poem that we say? That's right, the mood. So use your voice to show the mood. And I think we did a really good job of that today. So good job on the practice. And yes, so I have a final challenge for you. So your lesson is now officially finished for the poetry. But since we're not doing very much writing this week in our poetry unit because we're doing so much performing, I thought I would raffle off an extra Judith Kerr book this week. So we'll have our regular Judith Kerr raffle with all your regular work, but I'm going to do an extra one this week for anyone who does a journal about their week. So all you have to do is draw a picture of something you did that day or something you're looking forward to, or it can even be, you can even make up your own story. Your journal is just for you to write whatever you want. So draw a picture and write a few sentences, a few each day. And if you send it into the email, then I will have a separate draw on Friday to give out another Judith Kerr book for anyone who did a bit of extra writing this week along with our performing. So you did a great job, bravo, on your performances today. I really could feel that you were getting your expression and that was great and really showing the mood. But if you do a little bit of extra writing and send it in for your journal, it can be writing about your day, what you did at home, what you've been doing with your family, or you can make up your own story or create your own character. It could be any kind of writing you want. But if you send it in, then you can be entered in the second draw to get another Judith Kerr book. So it's definitely a good thing to do this week. And I will see you tomorrow where we'll do more poetry, maybe a different poem. Who knows? We'll see. Bye.